And Deb's here from Crystal's Property Staging. Here she is setting up our stage. It's looking fabulous. Thank you so much. While she's doing that, I want to announce 2 winners. So don't leave the room, don't go to the bathroom, because you could be one of those winners that is getting that VIP upgrade. So thank you so much to everyone for sharing your pictures. Those 2 winners are Samia Rahman. Yes, there she is. I recognize her in the red dress. Paul will come and find you, or come and find me afterwards, and I will sort you out. And the second winner, actually a newfound friend on Instagram, and he posted a couple of things this morning. Renato, where are you? Yeah, there you are. Oh my God, you're sat so close as well. So you've both got your upgrade to VIP. So thank you so much for sharing all of that. Right, stage is set, ready for our next 4 property sources, which, again, they're going to tell us so much information, and I'm going to be around. Michelle's going to be around for Mike, so get ready with your questions, get your hands up. So let's start off with a property and business expert owning multiple companies and investments across the UK, Jamie York. Get on your feet, let's give him a round of applause. Everybody up. Yes, where is he? Jamie York. Woo woo! Here he comes. Yes, guys, love that energy. Hey, how's it going? Take your seat. So we're going to sit under your name, so you can sit here on the end. You come in on the right side of the stage, Jamie. Next up, she started the Good Property Company in 2011, has sourced, bought, sold and let out more than 200 properties with a value of 45 million. And now, this is the bit that I absolutely love. She works in property 183 days of the year and enjoys 102 days of the year enjoying herself, basically. So put your hands together for Susanna Cole! If you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got, don't take a seat, Susanna. Keeping the ladies in the middle, so this lovely lady alongside her sister Nikki. Stephanie is co-founder of award-winning HMO property management company HMO Heaven, with contracts worth over 2 million. Of course, she's also the host of the Rent to Rent Success Property podcast, which I absolutely love. Stephanie Taylor! Woo! Feel like happiness is the truth, because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you, because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's. And of course, co-organizer of this event, which is just phenomenal, and thank you for putting on for a second time. Paul is a successful entrepreneur with various businesses, including an off-market platform for landlord-to-landlord sales, a business and property training academy, London's fastest-growing entrepreneur event, which has now gone nationwide with a successful event in Brighton, which was epic, and of course, owner of Casita Property. Here he is, Mr. Paul Stapleton! Like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is. There you go, guys. This is your property sourcing panel. Right, I'm going to come and grab a question from this side. So, who's got a question for one of these guys, or all of these guys on stage? Any hands? Right at the front here. Love this. That made my job easy, didn't it? Take it away.
Take the weight. What does that mean? Sorry.
Take it away.
Okay, sorry. My name is Vatsal. I'm a property investor and a sourcer, so I've seen both sides of the property sourcing equation. I care about my clients. I like to build a good relationship with them. I like to go again and again and again, but I also come across situations where the moment I say I'm sourcing property, it seems like a dirty word. What's the right way? I know it's a broad question of doing property sourcing.
Give us the last bit. What's the right way?
What would you recommend is the right way to do property sourcing?
I'll start. So one of the first things that I teach my sourcers, my mentees, is that tell me you're a property sourcer without telling me you're a property sourcer. So it's all about talking about the problem that you solve. So for me, Casita solves the problem of selling tenanted properties. So when I introduce myself, I'm not introducing myself as a property sourcer. I'm introducing myself as the director of a company that specialises in off-market discrete buy-to-let sales from landlords to other landlords. So it completely takes out the whole property sourcing element, but essentially that's what the business is.
I think
Yeah,
when oh, sorry, after you.
Yeah, I think it's a case of not only providing opportunities, but providing good opportunities. Many sources do come to us to offer opportunities, but when you look at the opportunities and analyse the opportunities are not opportunities. So, as Hayley said, the numbers never lie. Have good numbers.
So I think with any business that you're trying to build, you need to establish whether you're selling the product or the service. I just want to check, is this a good distance so people can hear me okay, yeah? Always weird because I can hear my voice about 10 seconds after me saying it. So decide if you're selling a product or a service. I think a big mistake that a lot of newbie property sourcers go into is they think they're selling the product. The reality is nobody gives a shit about the house. They really don't. They're buying an outcome that you're able to deliver to them. So you can call yourself what you want, portfolio builder, sourcer, it doesn't really matter. Ultimately, you're a solutions provider. So I'm a big believer that you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use it in that ratio, you'll be okay. So how do you communicate that? Well, firstly, look, my aim is to provide the best solution. We know that the vehicle is property. That's kind of irrelevant for this conversation. What I'd love to find out is what problems and challenges do you actually have? What are you trying to achieve? Is it a medium term? Is it a cash flow problem, which mainly makes me think of maybe it's a rent to rent, rent to SA type? Is it more you're thinking long-term fundamentals, you're looking for generational wealth? Try to actually ask good questions, understand the challenges, and then have the balls to say, I'm not for you. You know, for me, I'm very much about boring vanilla buy-to-lets. If somebody goes, I want to quit my job, well, that ain't happening with a couple of buy-to-lets. So I'm not the guy for you. However, I might know somebody down the road that could actually help you. They're not scared of you being a property sourcer. It's how you're communicating that. So understand the challenge, listen effectively, and then decide if you can actually provide the solution and sell the outcome. Simon Sinek talks about starting with why, and you think about Apple. Apple isn't successful because they've got the best phones or iPods or anything like that. They sold the outcome of what people are actually looking to achieve by buying one of their products, and then the product is the vehicle that gets them there.
Okay, I got a few things, and yep, I agree. Apple, which is about marketing and about positioning. First off, you're not going to charge your nonsense £2 grand, £3 grand piece of nonsense, 2%, absolutely not, never. Walk away, you'll not run a business. So that immediately goes back to your point, Jamie, on positioning. Understand your positioning. Are you top end of the market? I don't mean top end product, I mean top end delivery and service. So second note, so identify how much you're going to charge. My guys charge 5% because otherwise you can't run a sourcing business. You're never going to get out of the rat race. No thanks. Second, know your numbers. 1 in 20 people in a room has money. So 19 out of 20 are going to go, oh, you're a sourcer, because they haven't got any money anyway. Thirdly, understand where your customers are going to come from. We did 217 deals in Bristol. I naively thought everyone would come from Bristol. It's obvious, isn't it? No, because that feels uncomfortable. Why should I pay you 15 grand for a 300 grand house worth 400, 420 when I could have bought it myself? Now, the reality is they don't, and you can't rudely say, well, honey, you're not going to. So the majority of your clients will come from outside your area. So what is sensible? Are you going to go, and no offence, I mean, I'm from Glasgow, although I live in Bristol and Barcelona. No offence to anybody up north. Are you going to go up north to find your clients? No, you're not, because there's less money. You're going to go down south. So go to networking events, know that it's 1 in 20, know it's 5 to 9 touch points. Do you see how mechanical this is? It's a science. It's 5 to 9 touch points before somebody's going to buy from you. So you don't want to be like forcing them to buy from you in advance of 5 to 9 touch points, do you? And also, they might be crazy, and nobody wants a crazy client. 2% of your investors will be bananas, 98% will be gorgeous. I've been in this business a long time, those are your stats. So you want to eliminate the 2% if you possibly can. So 5 to 9 touch points. And typically what I did was I did 4 events a month, and I would do 2 in-house just to kind of be known Bristol-wise. And then I did 2 out of house, and I followed up meticulously with every single client. And then finally, you provide a really good product. You know, 45 million pounds for the property sourced for 30 million quid is a pretty strong product. And you do really good deal reports, 8 to 10 pages, you do multiple outcomes, multiple exit routes, and you do 45 pieces of research. So I can see some people nodding. By the way, I no longer do deal sourcing, so you can't get deals from me, so I'm just here to support you guys. So isn't that interesting? Would you buy from somebody who behaved in that manner? Probably, because they're not trying to sell you something, they're running a business. And they're doing 45 pieces of research, so the likelihood of the deal being good is pretty strong. So it's all very professionally done. And then run investor days, whether it's a plate of biscuits on your kitchen table or an absolute group. 15, leave your ego at the door. 50 is gorgeous. My ego loved it when I had 50 people pay me 20 quid to turn up to my investor days. But 15 is your number. You get your highest conversion rate out of 15 attendees. And do that every 2 weeks. Job done. Oh, and do you notice what I'm doing there? I'm building a waiting list. And so then the final piece of the numbers, and you notice it's all numbers, although I like human beings very much, and my guys are here. You need 4 people to try and buy every single one of your deals out of your group, because then you're very comfortable that for the next 3 weeks, if you're doing a deal a week, you've got purchased people ready who've already missed out in the last one. And obviously you always release the deal afterwards and say, I'm so sorry guys, it's sold out, which then makes people operate a bit faster next time. So it's a mechanical system of glorious human beings, gently, steadily, with professionalism. Great.
Okay, questions over this side. Who's got a question? Oh, first up. Say your name, where you're from.
Good afternoon to the panel. My name is Ayabo of Agiri Property Solutions. I source and package HMO deals in the Kent area, and my question is to all of the panel on their opinion on training courses for deal sourcing. Are people coming from these training courses with the right knowledge around compliance and just making sure that they do sourcing in an ethical way?
Yes and no, I think, look, you're asking an audience that's going to be incredibly biased, because most of us have training courses. Hey, if you do my training course, you're going to get the best, you know, it's going to be a biased answer. I think the reality is, like every business out there, there's some really good ones and some pretty shit ones. And I'm sure many of us can think of a really shit company in the training space that somebody else in the room might go, I absolutely love them. So does the average training course focus on the things that matter from I believe the question was a compliance point of view? Probably not the average one, because that's not sexy. That's not what's going to sell the course. And so again, when you're positioning your business, it's what's going to get people attracted in. So if I'm giving the most honest answer, most courses out there absolutely will not be talking about property. I'm not saying always that that's a bad thing, by the way. And the reason I say that is building a property business has relatively little to do with property. It's a sales and marketing business. It's a service business at the end of the day. However, let's say, for example, one of my delegates has decided that they're going to source HMOs. That is not a beginner level strategy. Now, can you do it as a beginner? Sure, but you're going to have to immerse yourself. And actually, there's, well, all levels of property, there's a huge amount of compliance. And so, yeah, the answer is probably no. Most training courses absolutely don't teach enough. Does that mean you can't be successful as a delegate? No, have baseline intelligence. You know, for me, if I were to source HMOs, do I know enough to go and find some great deals? Yeah. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to find the best HMO managers in the area. I'm going to find the HMO planning officer in the local city council. I'm going to go buy coffees for people, take them for lunch. I'm going to interview them. I'm going to reach out in groups and become as close to an expert as I can in theory before I practically apply. Hopefully that gives a holistic answer. I think we're going to be massively biased on here. The answer is no. And should there be more? Yeah, absolutely, because if you fuck this up, it can go really wrong.
There's also the association PEAS, which is Property Educators Accreditation. So you can look at whether your training provider is a member of that as well. And that's run by Cyril Thomas, who does the Property Investor Awards every year as well. Really good association.
I think it is good to focus on ethical property, and you'll find the property trainers who are the best do this and do focus on the compliance aspect of it. And I think it is obvious when you do your due diligence.
Yeah, I agree with Jamie that it's not the most sexy of topics, and there's a book that always sticks with me called Eat My Frog by Brian Tracy, and when I built my course, I kind of focused on that look, it's the worst thing, right? It's the most boring thing, so let's just get it out the way first. So that's syllabus 1 on my training, get that out the way. The rest of it is the fun stuff, but 110% it has to be covered. But I also think that a lot of sources will say I wasn't trained it correctly, but I think as business owners, not a sourcer, you have to take responsibility of checking it all over yourself and making sure that you are doing it correctly as well. And there's lots of courses that you can do for your AML compliance as well. It's like £100, so it's not a lot of money to invest just to make sure you're doing it the right way.
Fab, thanks guys. Another question here, I think. Yes?
I'm Abdullah. I source deals.
Make it a good one.
Yeah, don't worry. I source deals in Liverpool, and I was just wondering, how do you personally vet investors?
Stand up, introduce yourself. Come on, everybody needs to buy your deals. Come on, 400 people in the room. Let's make it work for you.
So how do you personally vet investors, and do you take deposits to cut out unserious investors? And also, is social media the best way to find investors?
Yeah, so I would say vetting investors is like one of the most important things. I think so many people are focused on building a massive mailing list, and I would call that your dirty base. That's the one that's been unqualified. I qualify my investors to a level of seeing decision in principles, seeing their credit report, seeing their cash to make sure that it's available in the bank, and just making sure that they're in a position to act now. I'd like to think I'm a little bit different, that I only deal with one type of investor, so it makes it easier for me to qualify that one type of investor. So I work with retail investors, and most of my investors come through a financial advisor, so they've been super qualified before. Second question on social media, 110% social media is the quickest way that you're going to build your list. But at the same time, if you're focused on social media and not face-to-face to build your investor list, your qualification needs to be even firmer. So don't be scared to say no to investors. If they won't provide you the information up front, they're probably not going to give you it further down the line. So don't do lots of work for free. Don't work with unqualified investors. Work with a smaller group of investors that are super qualified. Don't worry about the placebo. I've got a base of 2,000 investors. I'd rather have 5 super qualified active investors ready to pull the trigger.
Yeah, and I think it's about automating that process so that, first of all, as Paul said, it's an attraction thing. You're attracting the right people to you who want to work with you, and you're doing that partly through face-to-face, but of course through social media. Most of the people who want to invest with us come to us. And so after that, it's automating that process so that you're getting answers to the key questions so that you know which people to talk to and which people not to talk to. For us, we find that most of our investors are warm. That means we know them and they know us before we start working together, and that makes it very easy. But I know that you have a lot more volume, and so it might be a slightly different process for you.
Well, I started before, I'm an OG. I started before social media. None of your young stuff. So do you take a reservation fee? Let's do that one first. Yes. There are 2 types of investors you don't want to work with. The prima donna, who are going to give you an emotional distress. It's going to happen. You know, it's 2% of them, so you just have to recognise it. They're going to make a little noise, get them out your group, they're going to make noise about you. And then the other one is the non-committal. So you charge, the way I teach it is you charge a joining fee. It's just a pay envelope. You know, you can take your time, you don't need to join straight away, but you ain't getting my deals until you've paid the pay envelope, because what that does is that forces them to think about commitment to you. So you are, as a deal sourcer, asking somebody to do two important things. And I can see the chat behind you. You were in my hotel last night, weren't you? Yes, we should have chatted. You were on your computer and I was thinking, I wonder what business he runs. Yes. So there are two things. Number one, do you trust me or do you trust you? Which is why I wanted everyone to see you. And then number two, should I buy this house? And buying a house is top 5 stressful things. Don't mince their brain. But make them make the decision early. Do I trust you, yes or no? Because in order for you to evidence that you trust me, I'm going to charge you some money, and therefore you're going to have to go through that whole trust process in advance. So it's not so much to like take the cash, it's to just move them forward in their own thinking. So when they're ready to buy your deals, the only thing they do is they buy your deals. That's it. Simple. Now, before we go off, I want to give you guys how much this room is worth to you, but we'll do it on the next conversation. But I still do have 2 million views on my YouTube channel, but that's small, and I've been chilling for 3 years. So social media helps, but it's then one-to-one afterwards.
Okay, so what was your name, sorry? Abdullah. Nice to meet you. So, again, the best advice I can give across all of this is to start treating this like a business. And you need to get your big boy pants on, big girl pants on when you're approaching this. So first question was how to approach a deposit in social media. So if you want to write this down, ACELAPS. So this is every business, and I've got a few different businesses. I approach it the same. So ACE, ACE is my marketing funnel, awareness, communication, extraction. LAPS is the sales funnel, leads, appointments, proposal, sales. And think of it in the shape of a funnel, okay? The wider it is at the top, the better. So do you have to do social media to be successful? No, but is it going to make your life a hell of a lot easier? Yes. For me, I am awful at communicating through written word. And so you don't see any blogs from me, whereas you can put a camera in front of me and I can just talk. I can also net a lot of time. So I can walk around my projects, you can film me, I can get asked questions. Right now I'm answering a question and getting filmed by somebody. So that can be social media content. So the more awareness you can build, the better at the top of your funnel. And the reality is that if people are following you, and Susanna mentioned the 5 to 9 touch points, it's absolutely true. So how many of those touch points and trust building exercises can I do one to many rather than one to one? If I put out a YouTube video and it gets 5,000 views, well, how many people are in this room? Maybe 400 people in this room? Great, so I can share this message. Maybe 80% of you think I'm all right, 10% of you don't like me, and 10% of you go, I really like this guy, I want to work with him. Great, those 10% of people will subscribe to the YouTube channel, come and follow me, look at those content. And Susanna's right, as quickly as possible, how can I get them from awareness, one to many, to one to one? And that's where call to actions come into your content. Comment money, click below, comment APG, which is my company, Aspire Property Group. I'll share a link. You can book in a one-to-one strategy session. So as quickly as possible, I'm trying to get them from awareness, a viewer, communicating to me, and then extracting as a lead. And then I call that lead, call them and qualify them. Are they ready, willing, and able to actually invest? Do they have the money? Are they ready to take the action? Do they understand the service? Then I'll book them in for an appointment, which is the L and the A. On that appointment, I'll go from 5 stages. Where are you at? Where do you want to get to? What's got in your way? What have you tried before? What finances do you have? And then the proposal, which is the P. And when you put the proposal in front of them, you get the sale. Social media is going to make your life a hell of a lot easier. Also, if a particular video does really well, where it gets 5,000 views and 100 good leads, great. That's obviously showing me that people are relating to that. How can I get that to more people? Easy. The leads that come in from it, upload them into Facebook, so Facebook has data on them, put some spend behind it, and now you put ads towards like-for-like people to the same video that's going to warm them up and convert them. The last question was about, do you take a deposit up front? I'm going to give you a really easy business tip. Instead of thinking about what the other person wants, sometimes it's okay to think about what you want. Like, what would be your perfect situation in the business? Getting paid up front for multiple properties. So once they're ready and gone through that, ask for your ultimate outcome. Because I'm telling you, if you go to somebody, hey, we take a £500 deposit, nobody's going, actually, I'll just pay your full fee up front. Like, nobody does that, right? And so when you set the bar here, it's okay, because they're either going to match it or work you down. And I'd rather be worked down from, hey, you need to retain me for 2 properties up front and pay me, and then I'll be your personal shopper. And they go, actually, I only feel comfortable with 1 up front, and go that way around, rather than, hey, can I pay you nothing? Add to your list. And it's like, you might as well not have the lead. So I know that was a long answer, but hopefully holistically it helps.
And just before we jump into the next question, let me break the value of this room down. And then Simon, I don't know if you remember this, Simon Zutzi from a long time ago. So this is we got 400 people in the room. This is the value of the room to every single one of you guys. You can either borrow £2 million from this room. I would be getting that if I was still looking for money. I'm an investor now, by the way, so you should all come to me. You can either earn 300 grand a year deal sourcing from this room, if you work this room correctly, or you're going to earn 500 grand flipping, with joint venture flipping, with none of your money from this room. This room, 400 people. Let me break that down, and then Simon, I don't know if you remember me doing this to your room years ago. He quite correctly, his office put me, he's nodding his head. Okay, so 400 people, 1 in 20 is going to be an investor. If they only have 100 grand, and quite a few of your guys will have 5 or 6 million, and you're going to be 20 investors, there's you borrowing 20 million out of this room. Would 20 million start you off? Stand at the front door, get the names. Number 2, if you're going to deal source, charge 5%, 300 grand property, that's you 15 grand a deal. If you did it only for 20 people, because remember 1 in 20 is an investor, you've got 400 people in the room, you've earned 300 grand this year. Ready? Happy? There's 300 grand. And if you're going to flip with none of your own cash, and I did 30 flips at the same time, on average, a 300 grand house, it's a 20% markup, you're going to make 50 grand. If it's none of your own cash at all, that's 25 for you, 25 for them. You make $1 million with 20 investors this year, you take home $500,000. Now, is it worth collecting business cards? And is it worth doing the exact same focus that Jamie just talked about, that personalization? Is it worth you standing at... Please don't be cross with me, Michelle. Is it worth you standing at that front door and collecting every single person's business card? And then Simon, do you remember a very long time... Oh, he's chatting. Okay, I did this. Simon had me speaking years ago. Do you remember a very long time ago, Simon? Yes, he does. I was really naughty. I was the speaker, and quite correctly, Simon was saying, you can't take data from my room. So what did I do? It was very cheeky of me. I stood at the front door and went, I'm your speaker, can I have your business card? To 200 people. Now, it was naughty of me, and Simon, I do apologize, and you were quite right for your office to tell me off. But why was I doing that? Because the value of the data, because I knew I was going to be following every single person up 5 times, the value of the data is that value. So the room will fund you today, but you have to collect the room first and find your gems.
Okay, next question in the middle of the room.
I'll say sorry to Simon one more time, because I didn't actually ever phone him up personally and say sorry. That was about 2009.
Guys, if you missed all of that because Susanna was speaking so quickly, we do have a recording. You can put it on slow-mo, so get the recording at the end.
Hi, okay, so I'm Daniel, so I'm part of Susanna's mentoring programme, and I'm sourcing deals from Manchester. It's a question for the panel, and it's more, what are the most admirable qualities you found in your sources and the most successful sources below yourselves? What do the most successful deal sources have? The qualities do they have?
I think the best sources are able to tell a story and have multiple exits, ideas for a deal. They can show you how, when you invest in that opportunity, exactly what you're going to get back as a result. And also, it's ideal if they can also show you a track record which has shown them doing it before. ideally in public. So if they've got previous deals online and on social media, and they've got people you can actually talk to who've invested with them. So I think it's having not necessarily charisma in terms of being an extrovert, but whether they are introvert or extrovert, they can sell the story of the deal. And their values, because we talked about that as well, their integrity, their ethics come across in everything they do. And finally, the numbers that they sell you in that deal, in that dream, work. When you analyse them, you can see that it works.
So I come from a sales background. Before coming into property, I was a sales and business mentor. And like Jamie, I look at it as a sales and marketing business. So for me, the best sources are good salespeople. They ask skillful questions and they listen. I hope there's no estate agents in the room, but most estate agents try to sell using Rightmove and viewings, right? Every time you call up an estate agent, the first thing they say is, do you want to book a viewing? They have no idea if you're qualified or anything. So for me, good sources are asking skillful questions, listening to the answers. There's lots of different people in this room. Everybody's looking for something different. If we all pitched you exactly the same way, we would lose half of you. So until we know what you're looking for, we don't know how we can help you. So that's one. Second one, relationships. You have to be really, really good at not only building relationships with people, but nurturing and retaining them. New business is the hardest thing in the world for any business. You don't want to spend your life constantly getting new customers all the time. If you can get customers, get them for repeat customers, but also get referrals, that works really well. And the last thing is lots of people look for the product, they look for the property. Trying to find that individual property all the time is a really, really tough ask. Try and switch it up and look for people, service providers, that have lots of that property. So instead of looking for the property, look to work with estate agents that have access to lots of that property. See if you can get that before it comes to market.
I'll be very brief this time, you'll be surprised. Tenacity. Knock down 7, get up 8. And Danny, you've been following my business since you were 18. The minute you could jump into a course, you did, and you are so damn tenacious, it's gorgeous to see. Tenacity. Keep going.
Great question, Danny. Really good question. I'll try to relate it back to business in general as well, because I know there's a lot of business people. So I think 0 to 100 grand, all of these are annual figures. It's all about your values, your energy, and not stopping. And that word tenacity is so underrated. It's like, do you remember the guy that gave up? No, nobody else does. You know, and it's like, it's so ridiculous. I'm sure we've all seen that mining thing where somebody's mining for gold, and then they go, oh, it's not really there. They turn back and the gold was just there. And it's absolutely ridiculous. You go to school for 16 years to get GCSEs, go get your A-levels for another 2 years, then go to university to get your undergrad for 3 years, then go get a master's degree for another year, come out for 80 grand worth of debt and go make a cup of tea for some arsehole 3 years ahead of you, right? But you join a course and 3 months later, where the fuck's my financial freedom? And it's like, the reality is, it's like hard work consistently over a period of time. I've never met somebody that fouled that played all out for 18 months. Never, ever. And the reality is the people that fouled, it's often because they stopped. So the tenacity, your energy, and keeping to your values, by the way. I know it's hard at the beginning because you want that first close, but how you make your money will be so much more important than how much money you make. 100K to $1 million. A year, that's where it's really about focus on the fact that any business, you are a solutions provider. So go out and find specific challenges and just find yourself. Okay, figure out what challenges you're good at solving, because you're not good at all of them. And that's where people go wrong. They get to 100 grand a year, 200 grand a year, which don't get me wrong, it's a nice amount of money, but once you've paid out and you're net down to your profit, it's go get a nice job, I think, personally. Then when you're moving up there, it's what challenges do I want to solve? And then $1 million to 10 million a year, it's what is the one challenge that you really want to be known for solving? You know, it's like if I do boring vanilla buy-to-lets, and it's like, I know there's money in flips, I know there's money in HMO, I know the pros and cons of serviced accommodation, but I keep to my lane, and I become known for what I want to do. And by the way, there might be, out of the 400 of you, 350 to go, fuck buy-to-lets. It's like, cool. It's like, that's okay. I'm talking to the 50 when I'm in a room. And so if you really want to get to the level of, you know, 7 figures, 8 figures a year, in my experience, that's where I go. And just constantly realigning your values to that mission and keeping clear in your communication of who you're looking to help attract and solve the problems for.
So you're simplifying it.
Keep it simple. You know, like the reality is that there are phenomenal entrepreneurs, and there's a guy, James Sinclair, I don't know if he's in the room right now, but he's on later. Phenomenal businessman, phenomenal, but it's so simple. And I recommend everyone goes on his YouTube channel and subscribes. Like, seriously, any business, you'll learn a lot from him. But every business that he goes into, it aligns to one of his other businesses. So he'll look at his business, find the weakness, and buy a business that solves that weakness. And honestly, money is easy. And I don't like saying easy a lot. Money is so easy to make. It's just sometimes we can I'm not going to say what I was going to say, actually.
He was going to say a rude word, ladies.
I might get told off by Paul.
I think you can.
I'll say it anyway. Sometimes we can overcomplicate a wank. And it's like, it really is. This is the first and last time you'll see me on Paul's stage. the reality
Everyone,
is...
thank you, Jamie. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Yeah, the reality is, it's really simple. Find your niche. Find the people that have the problem. And I promise you, any product or service that you get great at, people will want to buy from you and then become known for that. Put out and produce content based on the common problems that people come across. Solve it for them. Don't do this like seed it, and if you really want to find out, come and have a call. No, actually solve the problem and then go, but by the way, you might actually want some help doing this. If you do, I'll put a link, let's have a chat. Keep it simple.
And maybe the only other thing is reputation. So there's the surface web we've got here with your 400, and I want every single and reputation? No, every I want you to all connect with every single person as you go out the door. But then there's a depth. You know, I've been in the industry a long time. You know, catching up with Tony was just adorable. You know, Simon and I've known each other a very long time. You know, there's the behind the scenes where people check up on people and quietly warn each other where there's a naughty one, even though we might not say it publicly because that's libelous or actually unfair unless you know the facts. So there's a really deep reputation where the good people end up staying in the industry as well. So just be aware of that. If you're new, maybe ask some of the OGs about people's reputations. They'll never put it on. It's not fair to slag somebody off, but if somebody's just quiet, think twice.
Thank you, Suzanne. I love that. Reminding everyone who is in this room as well. Like, there are so many people in this room that are going to have knowledge for you. Right. Hello, sir. Your question, please.
Hello, my name is Anjum, and I'm from Birmingham. And a very great panel here. My question is a bit relevant to myself. So I'm an architecture and planning consultant, and been in the industry for quite a few years now. And they've been doing strategies, HMOs and commercial resi. And then I work up and down the country. The question I wanted to put on is that the amount of knowledge I have acquired in terms of the property and the property strategies, can I be a property sourcer, or is that kind of a jeopardize my consultant recognition in the market? I'm well known what I do. So, but I see a lot of knowledge that I have now of all these strategies and all these locations I go up and down the country. So the property sourcing is something can I do, or it is not something for me?
Would it excite you?
It excites me, yeah.
Right then, yes. You'd be amazing. Subject to you doing the job properly, it sounds like you've got wonderful knowledge, yes. If it excites you, if you like people, if you're okay about handing over deals that you're actually jealous to hand over, but you're so pleased to see the life-changing opportunity you're giving other people, do it. It's brilliant fun being a property sourcer.
Would it risk being recognized as one consultant, but then people knows you as a sourcer as well, or can you just simply source it, but you still as a consultant? That was a question.
So was it is there can I just source it, or do I have to do the other? Yeah, so there's a difference between deal sourcing and deal packaging, and often people use the words interchangeably, but in my mind they're very different. So deal sourcing for me is finding a great deal for an investor. They pay you a fee and you move on from it. And I'm not saying that's the facts, that's just my opinion of what a deal sourcer is. I personally am not a fan of that, rightly or wrongly, and the reason is because it narrows my customer avatar. And so I'm only able to work with people that have the skill set to take on the rest, they just maybe haven't found the deal. What I like doing is deal packaging, and that's where it really slides from that product to service. So I like doing the end-to-end. So I like using my solicitor, my broker, my refurb team, my lettings team. And the reason for that isn't actually to make more money, it's the scalability of the business. Because now I can work with who makes money and wants to earn more money, which is a lot of people. So now I've got accountants, doctors, dentists, other business owners. I've not met many people that don't want to make more money. So for me, it's more about the service providing and expanding the customer avatar. I think what's really important is you don't need to do all of that yourself. For example, do I do the legal work? No. Do I find the financial product for you? No. And being a successful deal packager is glorified networking sometimes. It's connecting the right deal to the right person, i.e. the right solution to the right challenge, and then the right people that you know are going to be amazing at solving their challenges for you. So anyone that likes people and solving problems, you can make a lot of money there.
So I think anyone with an interest in property can be a deal sourcer. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, because anyone can be an investor as well. So like Jamie said, if you're a dentist, if you're in recruitment, that circle is still full of people that you can work with. Just because you do recruitment by day and sourcing by night, it won't discredit you anymore. I think the main thing is you need to know who you want to work with. First of all, you need to have that avatar of who your ideal client is. So that's one of the first things that I do with my mentees is you can't find the person that you don't know who you're looking for. So identify who that is. Do you want to work with people of retirement age? Do you want to work with young people that are interested in rent-to-rent deals? Do you want to work with people that are 35 to 65 so that you can build a pension pot? Is there certain industries? Are there certain locations? And again, like Jamie said, you can target them specifically on Facebook. But whatever industry you're coming from, there are going to be people that you can work with. So that's what I would say. If anyone wants to be a property sourcer, don't think just because you're not in property that it's going to be more difficult for you.
Yeah, and it's a great add-on. For example, if you're doing rent-to-rent, like many of the people we work with, while you're looking for deals for yourself, you may find deals that you can't take on because they're not in the right location for you. Maybe they need a bigger investment, like the one we heard about from Michelle earlier. You can sell those deals on as long as they're a good deal, as long as you have the right numbers, and as long as you can tell the story of that deal, you can sell those deals. There are a lot of people who are looking for deals who don't have the skills to find them.
Can I just add as well, like everybody goes to property events and that they stand up and they introduce themselves and say, I'm here to find investors. But the thing is, the investors that come to property events are here to learn how not to use you. So if you need to like broaden your mind. My business partner's in here, Aaron. We set up Peak Performance because we would go to events that didn't have our ideal client. I found my ideal client at business events because, like you guys, I was looking for that high-earning, busy working professional, time poor, all of that spiel. But you're not going to find them at the property meetings. You're going to find them at the local networking meetings, business meetings. There's one at the Excel, the UK Business Show coming up. That's not a plug, by the way. But there's one there as well. You're going to find those busy working people at those shows. They're going to be doing work-related things, but those conversations are going to be vital. So it's really important as well that if you are at industry events within your job as well, still network at those. You don't just have to network at property events.
I found one of my early potential investors while I was on jury service, which was interesting. So investors understand that there's a triangle. So you can either be very simplistic in your way, or you could do deal sourcing, joint venture flipping, or borrowing the money, which is what I did. And so you're going to have a triangle. So at the top, you're going to have people who are 5 or 6 million quid. And I actually did find my 5 or 6 million quid. I had 4 or 5 of those guys at property events. The middle, they're going to have like, I don't know, 100 to 250, 300,000. And then down the bottom, they're going to have 50 grand. You can work with all of those 3 types of people. But we're talking deal packaging today, so you're probably selling to the middle and to the lower, but do not miss out on your beauties with their 5 million quid, and they're going to attribute 20% of their money to you on a year-on-year basis and tell you to hurry up to buy properties for yourself so that they can lend you the money. And you're like, okay, I will. So bear in mind, it's a triangle.
We've probably got time for just one more, so I'm going to come to this gentleman here. We'll see what time this finishes up, and we may have time to squeeze one in. Make it a good one, yeah?
Not too long. You put me under pressure now. Paul already said, is there any estate agents in the room? So I had to say, hi, everybody. I'm Alex from Filey Properties. Anybody wants to book a viewing? We cut right, move the middleman out, and come directly. Just a question for the panel. What do you think on geographical location? Being based in North London, there's a lot of deals that happen in North London, but there's a lot happening all over the UK now. Would you suggest to concentrate on deals that are out of your area, or be area specific?
I'll just jump in briefly. My personal portfolio is almost every single one is within a 1.9 diameter of the city centre, and I've got a couple at 2.3 miles diameter of the city centre. Why? It's efficient. When we were running the deal sourcing business and doing hundreds of deals, we knew which side of the street was the better side of the street. We knew which side of the street was which council, Bristol or South Gloss. And that granular detail over time is very efficient. So I focused on Bristol, but the only reason I was interested in Bristol was the environment that allowed Bristol, I mean, every single one of my houses has doubled, most have tripled, some are at the point of quadrupling since I bought them. That's why you need to get into property. But the only reason I was in Bristol was because of the economy. So I'm very interested in what is fueling the demand for those properties, whether it's a rental property or whether it's a buy to sell. And it isn't the person, it's the job that that person has. So just be mindful of the economy. I like you to be in one location. 100 estate agents, 250,000 population. You should do okay with that. And I'd be jealous of anybody in North London. I just happen to be in Bristol. I'm more jealous of you guys in London than me in Bristol. You're going to earn more money than I did. Good.
So like Jamie, I deal with bog standard buy-to-lets as well. And I don't have the luxury of my strategy working on my doorstep. So I live in London. I'm looking for 3-bedroom semi-detached houses. They're 800 to 900,000, generating £3,000 income. So that doesn't stack. So I think you need to understand that if the strategy that you want to do doesn't work in your area, you're going to be forced to go outside of your area. So I'm based in London, but I would say Lincolnshire is the closest that I work in. So I agree, you need to know about your area. So I take on one area at a time. I learn about each area, learn as much as I can, visit as many times as I can. And once I get a good standing in that area with local agents, then I'll expand. So I work all over the country, which I think Jamie does as well. And for me, it's looking for those areas of regeneration that have got a really good story. There's no point doing what's convenient for you. It would be really convenient for me to source on my doorstep buy-to-lets, but it just doesn't work. And what's convenient for me isn't going to make me money. It's got to be what's convenient for the client base.
I'm probably just echoing the same thoughts. I think the reality is, if I broke your question down into, can you do it out of area? Yeah, of course you can. Like Susanna gave some really good examples about the councils and all of that. The reality is, I personally believe 95% of what you need to know about a property isn't from viewing the house, it's the surrounding area. Now, I'm maybe a bit of a hypocrite here, because I also believe that walking the streets has a lot of value sometimes, and on streets, a 3-bed semi is not the same as the other 3-bed semi literally across the road. But Google Maps really helps with the avatar. And if you think about crime rate, the social demographic breakdown, the tenure of property, like I don't walk around the street and go, this has 24% social housing down here, I can feel it. It's like, no, property data is going to really sort you out. There's a lot of tech paid for and free where you get 95% of the information. So the question then really comes down to, why would you go to a different area? So if you came up with a breakdown of everything that you would like economically within the properties, the rent versus purchase price, the capital growth in the area, crime rates, demographic breakdown, schools, EPCs, you know, whatever it is, and then you applied that to your area, does it satisfy 70% plus of your needs? And if it does, I promise you, you can genuinely, and I really mean this, as an estate agent, a deal sourcer, whatever you want to do, you can build a £10 million a year business in fees in North London. Like, it's ridiculous how much money you can make there. So there is absolutely no need for you to go in any other area. However, if you did your breakdown, because this is personal to you, and actually North London only ticks 1 out of 5 things you'd need, be a bit fucking stupid building the business there, wouldn't it? So, you know, maybe looking at other areas that do match that, narrow it down to your top 3, but before you do that, get it to your top 1, book a couple of weeks off work, go and live there for a couple of weeks, and you don't meet up with friends, you're not networking, apart from the B2B side, which is who's going to be the agents on the ground, are you doing the build phase, so who are the builders you need to go to BNIs, go to every single BNI that you can in the morning, start your day right, get your connections. The reality is, COVID did an amazing thing for us, and it took a lot of bad things as well, but a lot of good stuff was we went more online, and it's so easy to close investors with £1 million transfer over a Zoom call, and I don't know if that would have happened before, so ask yourself the why. But the practicality of it, it's really not that difficult.
Yeah, I think I'm on Susanna's team for having everything local. Not that you can't do it a lot of different ways, but I think the sort of properties that we like, the multiple unit blocks, the commercial to residential conversions, these properties, like Simon was talking about, they're available now. Fewer people are buying them. There's more opportunity. So for these sort of opportunities we want for the portfolio we're building to own, everything's on our doorstep. Now, I think this is our last question. So I just wanted to mention, for those of you who are interested in rent to rent, we do have a few copies of our book with us. And if you DM us on Instagram at Rent to Rent Success, the word book, we'll also send you a copy.
Love that. Key little plug there, Stephanie. Got to get it in. Well, thank you so much for our property sourcing panel. Please put your hands together for Jamie, Susanna, Stephanie, and Paul. Thank you so much, guys. And yeah, sorry that we didn't get through all your questions. I know there were so many of you still. There was a gentleman over here that we kept making eyes, and I was like, I'm coming to your question, and we just didn't get round to it. But like Stephanie said, a really important point. So many people in this room are so open to receiving DMs and to give advice. That's why they're here talking on this stage. So do reach out to them and ask your questions. I always think if you don't ask, you don't get. So go and hit these guys up. Sorry, you're going to be inundated with DMs now. But again, thank you to our property sourcing panel. Thank you, guys. Before we head to lunch, you guys can either chill right there. I am going to keep you here for a picture, but you can head off stage or you can just chill, whatever you would like to do. But Michelle's got a quick competition that she's going to tell you about. So Michelle, come on up and tell us that.
Well, just to say, hands up if you would like £500 of cash today. Hands up if you would like it. Good. And if you didn't put your hand up, you're not in the right room. £500 of cash plus £16,000 of our YPN training, etc. We are giving that away at 5 o'clock tonight. On the back of your brochure, you have got a QR code. It's free to enter. It's a bit of fun. And you've got until 3 o'clock to enter that and become a YPN member to get £500 worth of cash. So be here at 5 o'clock. Great.
Nice. I love that. Love a competition. And our 2 competition winners for those VIP upgrades, come as maybe wait to the side of the stage. We will come and sort you out. I just want to ask anyone that is speaking here today to maybe just make your way to the side of the stage, because we're going to do a quick picture. So come on round. And then a quick couple of things to talk to you about before, well, not before lunch, but about lunch, really. So VIPs, you are making your way out of this back door and then you are heading upstairs. You have got a masterclass with Paul Avins, which will be super exciting. That's a VIP masterclass on building your business using AI. So that will be upstairs. You've got some lovely tables up there. You've got drinks up there. You've got name plates on your table, so you'll see your name when you walk in and where you're going to be sitting. And then the other food, which is I'm so excited to try. I'm going to come along and try that as well, because it's by the very, very fabulous Tej Talks. Who knows Tej Talks? Yes, you do. Yes, I'm seeing a few hands up. So that is from his company, Bandit Street Food, serving classic Americana barbecue, which I'm super excited for. So yum, yum, yum. And then in here, in about half an hour, so at 1:30, there's the white label property presentation on sourcing off-market deals and how using their platform can help. So I think it's printed as 12:30, but it is at 1:30. So that is back in here. And then everything else will kick off back here at 2:30. So that's when our next speaker, James Sinclair, is on. And then this afternoon, we've got James Sinclair, Shah Wasmond, and the social media panel.